Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into the biblical text today, specifically an absolutely awesome section called Proverbs chapter 20. We're going to uncover some truly amazing practical wisdom. Think of Proverbs like this giant ancient treasure chest. But, instead of gold coins, it's packed full of fantastic advice on how to live your absolute best life, make great choices, and follow Him every single day. I am so excited to share these secrets with you, so let's get into it.
But right before we look at our first verse, I want you to really think about something for a second. Have you ever wanted to get back at someone who is mean to you? Like really wanted to? Maybe a sibling grabbed your favorite toy without asking, or a friend said something unkind at recess, and you just felt that sudden hot urge to get even? Look, it's a completely normal feeling to have when we get hurt. But what should we actually do with that feeling?
Well, that brings us right to our first major theme of the day, trusting Him over revenge.
When someone hurts our feelings, it's so tempting to try and settle the score ourselves. But check out this quote from Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22. It says, "Do not say, 'I'll pay you back for this wrong.' Wait for the Lord, and He will avenge you." Notice that one very specific word in there. Wait. He doesn't want us to just react quickly in anger or yell back. He wants us to practice patience and completely trust that He sees exactly what happened to us and that He will take care of it in the perfect way.
So we really have a clear choice every single time we get upset. Trying to get revenge yourself, that usually just makes the whole situation worse, and honestly, it often gets you in trouble too. But choosing to wait for Him to avenge you, that is the wiser, much stronger path. When you decide to step back, take a deep breath, and just let Him handle the situation, you are choosing the better way. And you know what? It takes a ton of courage not to fight back.
Moving right along to our next exciting theme, always be honest and fair.
This is all about how we treat our friends when we're playing games or sharing snacks. The biblical text puts it in a very specific way in verse 23. It says, "The Lord detests differing weights, and dishonest scales do not please Him." Now that might sound like a pretty funny way to talk about fairness, right? Differing weights, dishonest scales? What in the world does that mean for us today? We definitely don't walk around carrying heavy metal scales.
So back in the old days, people actually used metal scales to weigh out food and money when they bought things. If someone used dishonest scales, it meant they were secretly cheating the other person just to get a little bit more for themselves. For you, in your everyday life, a dishonest scale is kind of like peeking when you're playing hide and seek, sneakily changing the rules of a board game just so you can win, or keeping the way bigger half of a cookie when you promise to share it equally with your best friend.
The absolutely crucial point here is that fairness is incredibly important to Him, and you can make sure your scales are honest every single day by just doing a few simple things. We're talking about being honest in games, sharing things equally without grumbling about it, and telling the truth always. When you play fair, it truly pleases Him, and it makes you an awesome, trustworthy friend to have around.
Okay, let's jump straight into our next section. Think before you promise.
This part is all about the words we say and the commitments we make to other people. Verse 25 gives us a really important, eye-opening warning. It says, "It is a trap to dedicate something rashly and only later to consider one's vows." Let's pause right there for a second. Did you catch that big warning word, trap? But what kind of trap are we even talking about here? Because it's definitely not a trap made of sticks or ropes. Dedicating something rashly basically just means making a promise you cannot keep because you didn't think it through first. Have you ever quickly promised your mom you'd clean your room, but then completely forgot because you wanted to go outside and ride your bike? Making promises that you can't or won't keep is exactly the trap the biblical text warns about. You get stuck, and it accidentally breaks the trust people have in you.
Rushing to make a promise feels so easy in the moment, doesn't it? You just yell out, "Sure, I'll do it." But true wisdom, that's thinking carefully first. It's like hitting the pause button in your brain for just a few seconds. You stop and ask yourself, can I actually do this? Do I even have the time? Before you go ahead and say yes to a friend or a parent.
Now let's transition to one of the absolute most beautiful parts of the biblical text, God's light inside you.
It's all about how He works from the inside out to lovingly guide our hearts. Verse 27 says, "The human spirit is the lamp of the Lord that sheds light on one's inmost being." Just try to picture that for a moment. He actually puts a bright lamp inside of us, kind of like a personal conscience or a gentle inner voice. You know that funny, nervous feeling you get right in your tummy when you're just about to do something wrong? That is His lamp. He is shining a light to help you clearly see right from wrong.
And let's be real here, sometimes life just feels totally confusing.
You might wonder why certain things happen at school or what you should do next when you're facing a really tough choice. Well, look at verse 24. A person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? This is just so incredibly comforting. It means that even when everything feels upside down and we don't have all the answers, He is always there, guiding our steps. We just have to trust Him.
And a huge part of His guidance is helping us stay far, far away from bad choices. Verse 26 talks about how a wise king winnows out the wicked. Now, to winnow is an old farming word, and it simply means separating the good from the bad. Just like a farmer uses the wind to separate the good, yummy wheat from the useless, dusty weeds, His light and His wisdom help us separate the good, healthy choices from the bad ones in our own daily lives.
And that leads right into our final section, growing wiser every day.
We are all on this grand journey, growing wiser every single day we wake up. You see, wisdom isn't just something meant for adults. The biblical text points this out so beautifully in verse 29. It says, "The glory of young men is their strength, gray hair, the splendor of the old." I love this because it shows that every single age has a special gift and something amazing to offer. When you're young, you have tons of energy, strength, and excitement. That is your glory. But as people get older, they gain something else that is just as valuable. They gain what the text calls splendor. Splendor means something truly beautiful that deserves a whole lot of respect. Gray hair isn't just a hair color, guys. It's a sign of a long life filled with experiences and lessons learned. That's exactly why we should always respect our parents, our grandparents, and our older teachers. They have the beautiful splendor of wisdom, and they can share it with us if we just take the time to sit and listen.
And speaking of making good choices, verse 28 tells us that love and faithfulness keep a king safe. Now, okay, you might not be sitting on a throne wearing a golden crown, but showing love and faithfulness, that keeps your own heart safe and secure. You can practice this today by sticking up for a friend who's feeling left out, being extra kind to your siblings even when they are acting super annoying, and really listening to that wise advice from the older people who love you.
Now, I want to show you verse 30. It says, "Blows and wounds scrub away evil, and beatings purge the inmost being." Okay, I know. These words might sound a little bit intense or scary at first, but let's take a deep breath and just break down what this metaphor actually means for us as we're growing up.
Think about it like this. Discipline cleans our hearts, just like scrubbing a dirty scrape. Have you ever fallen off your bike and scraped your knee on the sidewalk? Your mom or dad has to wash it out with soap and water, and oh man, it really stings for a second, right? But if they don't wash out the dirt, it gets infected. It's the exact same thing when we do something wrong and get corrected by our parents. Having a timeout or losing a fun privilege might really hurt our pride for a minute, but it gently cleans those bad habits right out of our hearts so we can stay healthy and make much better choices next time.
So, as we bring all of this awesome wisdom together, let's look at the core lessons we've discovered today. We need patience when we're wronged, honesty in our games, care in the promises we make, and respect for the wisdom of others. Interestingly, verse 21 of our reading warns us that an inheritance claimed too soon will not be blessed. That just means if we rush through our lives trying to get everything we want right this very second, we completely miss out on taking the time to learn these vital, step-by-step lessons.
And that leads us to our final big thought to wrap up today's explainer. Which piece of wisdom will you practice for Him today? Will you focus on sharing your toys fairly? Will you stop and think carefully before making a promise to your mom? Or will you take a deep breath and wait on Him instead of getting revenge on a sibling? The choice is absolutely yours, and He is right there to help you every single step of the way. Thanks for hanging out and learning with me today, and I'll see you next time.